Cool. Welcome to the Cluster API Provider AWS office hours on Monday, the 9th of August, 2021. A reminder that we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct, so please be kind to each other. I will share the meeting notes now. If you could add yourselves to the attendee list. Let's just see, we get the participants panel. So if there's not many people attending today, but if this is your first meeting, so I don't know, Austin, if it's your first meeting, if you fancy unmuting and saying hello, feel free to, but you don't have to.
Hello, yeah, I'm Austin from Databricks. I'm just listening in. Right now, I'm going to be working through just a quick prototype with EKS and Cluster API, but I just wanted to listen in and see how these meetings go.
Cool. Well, welcome. Yeah, if anyone's got any topics, there's not many topics on the agenda today, but if you have any topics that are not there, can you add them now with your name? Cool. So one PSA. Basically, there's a work in progress PR for the EKS graduation. There's a couple of things to note. If you're interested in the EKS side of things, there's no longer a separate bootstrap or control plane provider. Essentially means you can just do cluster CUTL in it and the AWS infrastructure provider. EKS is enabled by default as it's graduated. So there is a new environment variable kappa_EKS where you can disable the EKS controllers if you want to, but they will be enabled by default. I've removed the AWS managed cluster actually from the code, although we removed references to this quite a few releases ago. So I'm not entirely sure the best way to handle the scenario where people are actually still using this. They shouldn't be, but if they are, because we'd have to change the reference on the CAPI cluster on the cluster reference. Is it cluster infrastructure reference, whatever it's called on the CAPI cluster? So yeah, I wasn't sure the best way to achieve that in an automated way, because I guess as soon as you apply it, CAPI is going to start reconciling it. So we could maybe, I think Nadir, you recommended another controller that we could write, but yeah, it didn't seem particularly, I don't know, it just seems a bit, yeah, so I'm not sure about that one. As part of that, I've left the Fargate profiles functionality in experimental, just because it hasn't been used a lot compared to the rest of the EKS functionality. So as a result of that, I've introduced a new feature flag for people to enable that by default. Just didn't seem right to graduate that as well. And so that's basically all done, except for the end-to-end tests are failing, obviously. So currently going through the painful process of trying to get them working, but all the other tests are passing, so all the unit tests are passing. It's just the end-to-end tests that are failing at the moment. Cool. So was there any? Oh yeah. So Nadir, you got the first action item.
Yeah, this one last week. I did create an issue out of it. We were going to explore replacing all the annoying M4 stuff in the makefile with Mage. I've started testing some of that. There's still interesting around how you get like options. We have a lot of sort of configuration options in Make, and the Mage file doesn't make it super easy to have that. Like they only support positional arguments, which are mandatory. So we'd have to inject some of our own stuff. So I haven't fully figured out what is best. So I'm still playing around with what the shape of it's going to look like, but it's definitely promising.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'd be interested in that. That's good. Actually, the next two agenda items are yours as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kubernetes 122 came out last week. So we really need to cut the rerun alpha 4 release. So there's a bunch of, so we had reduced the scope to just the breaking API changes, but given we really need the 122 support now, maybe there's a case to be made that we see where we are in our milestone and see if we just pump stuff out to V1 Alpha 5. And how are you feeling around the EKS graduation? Like, do you think, are we need to release ASAP, otherwise people can't deploy cluster API to Kubernetes 122 clusters.
Yeah. So it's literally just end-to-end tests. So locally with Kind, it's working. I'm not seeing any issues. So I will, I'll focus on tomorrow, and I'll get the end-to-end test fixed tomorrow. So then it should be good to go.
All right. Yeah, so maybe we should run down the milestone after. So I just run the next one, and then we can go through the milestone completely. So we've I've been speaking to Shivani and Ankita, who both sort of volunteered to step up to start helping out with reviews. So probably might, if I'm going to open a PR, if anyone's got any objections to add Ankita and Shivani as reviewers. But I think we also need to move some people to emeritus. I'm happy to chat with those folk individually. And mostly that's going to be Michael Beaumont and Andrew Rudoy, mostly, because I don't think either of them are active in cluster API at the moment. So see what they want to do, because they probably don't want to get pinged continually on GitHub.
Yeah. Cool. I was wondering if someone like Daniel would also be interested in being a reviewer, since he's been around a while.
I could give it a go.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool. So then, did you want to look at the milestone for 070? So the AWS resource references on unimplemented logic.
Yeah, I need to finish the PR, and I think there was another PR incoming. I think, was it from Giant Swarm that was actually implementing one of those? So I was actually just going to delete all the unimplemented logic. I think with all of those issues, I think that one and the cleanup AWS templates and naming typo changes, like, if let's just try and get them done an ASAP. And if they don't, it's like, it's not the end of the world if they don't make it in, I think.
Yeah.
They're sort of quality of life improvements.
Cool.
Definitely good to have.
I think probably the AWS machine pool stuff as well. That's not going to be done in time, is it? So we could push that back to the next one. So then that just leaves the EKS out of graduating app, which hopefully I can get done tomorrow, and then maybe that frees us up to do a release Wednesday, I guess that would be, wouldn't it? Or
yeah, potentially, yeah.
Cool. Did you want me to push change the milestones on these other ones to 07X?
Yeah, might as well. Oh, well, no, those are which ones are we talking about? Sorry.
Well, the managed machine pool, the launch templates. So I can check.
Oh yeah, that one can move to 7X.
Yeah.
If we don't do the other 3, then they will have to be 08.
Yeah. Cool. Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool. Brilliant. I think that's the end of the agenda. So has anyone got anything else they would like to discuss? Going once, going twice. Go for it.
Yeah, sorry, I will put a link into this, but a couple of us have started discussions around load balancer proposal for We1 Alpha 5 for cluster API. There's going to be impacts for the AWS provider. There is a thread, so if anyone's interested in that, and like the main requirements were going to be to replace the default ELB behavior with NLB support and ability to use NLB to run VMC on AWS. So that's the VMware on AWS solution. And it would also act as a sort of generic machine type load balance thing and support our multi-tenancy constructs, etc. We're looking at using the Gateway API if we can, and Red Hat are also interested in splitting out internal load balancers versus external load balancers. So the load balancer that worker nodes talk to will be completely VPC internal, and then you might still have an external load balancer that external kubectl and other clients talk to. So that will cut down on your costs, especially if that's a thing that has been of concern to you, then that should be solved. But yeah, this is next release of so I think We1 Alpha 5 is ended the year, I think. I'm not sure where we are. In the cluster API roadmap will be discussed on Wednesday if folk are interested in that.
Cool. Well, I think that's probably it then. So we can call it a close and speak to you all in a couple of weeks.
Take care.
Take care, bye.